Do your family and friends still not know about your social media? What if your future partner isn't frugal like you? Is that a deal breaker? What would you tell your 24-year-old self? Oh my God. He's kind of cheap and people think he's a freak. It's the Frugal Freak Podcast. I'm Bradley, and welcome to the Frugal Freak Podcast, where I am considered a freak in society because I love to save my money. I would rather be financially stable than broke, and I'm not stupid. Hey guys, how's it going? So I already failed because I just said in the last episode, I was real confident that I said I will post a video every week. Already failed. Already didn't happen. And I should have known. I really should have known. And it's nothing more for the fact that I don't have time. I know. So unfortunately, I think what we're going to have to do is I think we're going to have to set the expectation that it's going to be a new episode every 2 weeks. And if I am just like slaying the week, if I have like 28 hours in a day and the stars align, I will post a video every week. But the expectation is going to be every 2 weeks. And if you just happen to get a video back to back, week after week, then somehow I'm making it work and I have the time. But it's not going to work. It's not going to work with everything I have to do. We're trying our best right now, but I'm just going to say, unfortunately, I think we have to do every other week. I'm going to post on here. So I'm sorry, but of course, if you watch me on TikTok, I'm cranking the videos out every single day. So it's not like you have access to me. Okay. But these long podcast episodes, it's just not going to happen, I don't think, anytime soon. And I'm sorry. We'll probably talk about it in a little bit, but I already am so busy in April and it's mid-March. And my April already looks like a freaking nightmare. So, hey guys, I hope you're doing well whenever you're watching this. I was in New York last weekend and I met 4 budget baddies. I couldn't believe it. I was recognized like 4 times in public in like a 3-day window. It was crazy. Please don't get mad at me when I say this. I swear I'm autistic. I think people care so much about every little detail. And maybe you guys do. I was raised, I could already tell this episode is going to be chaotic. I was raised basically by parents who wanted me to be invisible. Literally, when my dad would come home from work, my mom would be like, no more noise. Like literally, even if it was laughing, like I was told I cannot laugh or like be happy and make noise. Like, anyways, so why did I even share that? What the hell is going on right now? How did I go from thinking I'm autistic because I share too much detail? This is already bad. Should I just start over? Anyways, whatever. We're just going to do it. I get so uncomfortable when I share a lot of detail because I usually assume people don't care. Because literally my own parent was like, I don't want you to make noise and you need to be quiet. So my brain always just thinks like no one actually cares, which is really actually fascinating for the fact that I've built such a platform on me just like talking and sharing my life and talking about money. Because like clearly people care, but in my brain I'll always think people want to hear less, not more, whatever. So anyways, I figured for today's episode, I have a lot of good video ideas and a lot of good topic discussions that we're going to get into in future episodes. But I was just kind of thinking, I was like, what would today's episode be? And I know in my last episode, I mentioned that I was going to do a Q&A, a question and answer. So if you could leave your questions in the comment section, I will answer some of them. I figured, like, why don't we just use today's episode as like a hangout yap session, and then the second half of today's episode can be the Q&A. So hopefully that sounds good with you guys. Sometimes I feel like, I've probably said this before, but sometimes I feel like I have no value if I'm not like teaching someone something about money, or if I'm not like motivating or inspiring someone about money, which maybe some of the Q&A answers will lead into like some of those overlapping themes. But I just feel like today is going to be kind of like, let's just talk, let's just hang out while you are probably listening to this while you're like cleaning or driving or whatever. I don't know. So, but as long as you're watching me, I very much appreciate it. Let me know in the comment section what you guys do as you listen. When I listen to podcasts, which is kind of why I wanted to make this, because I was like, it'd be nice for people to listen to this and like take things away about money. But like, I'm such a cleaner when I listen to a podcast. Like I'm a cleaner, or I like to throw it on while I'm like getting ready for the day, getting ready for bed. I don't know. I just think I always need to be listening to someone talking. Are we all like that? I don't know. Maybe I'm lonely. I don't fucking know. What? Oh wait, I can't curse. Oh my god, I can't curse. What? I'm so over this. I'm so over this. If you're not gonna pay me, I'm gonna be a menace on here if you don't pay me. I have a pretty good list of just like things I've wanted to talk to you guys about, ranging from houses to people disappointing you to what else is on the list? Oh my god, the frugal lasagna. Did you guys see the frugal lasagna on TikTok last week? What the hell? Oh my god. Just I can't catch a break. I can't catch a break. I'm always in some mess. So, anyways, we have a lot to talk about. So, let's see. So let's have a fun yap session and then we'll get into the Q&A. So remember that episode from a few weeks ago where I talked about my first time putting in an offer on a home and how it went horribly. I finally found out what the house sold for. Oh my god. I'm so mad. I'm mad. So the house was listed for $190,000. And I put in an offer for $205,000. And I found out last week that the house sold for $235,000. And my sister was the one who actually texted that to me that she found out. I was very curious, but for some reason, like she was notified. I have no idea why. I don't know what happened there. But my sister texted the group chat of me and my mom, and she was like, the house you put in an offer for sold for $235,000. And I was just like, I honestly was really disappointed because, first of all, it's crazy. The house sold for $45,000 over asking price. I have had enough. I am so sick of this. This is stupid. I'm over it. I'm so over it. Anyways, I know I've talked the conversation to death. I know. But I was just pretty disappointed because $25,000 over my asking price in the grand scheme of things doesn't feel like a lot of money. And it's like the fact that I keep seeing houses on the market for way more than $235,000 for a lot less quality. Like I actually am pretty disappointed because $235,000 for a nicely renovated home, even though it was 720 square feet, but for me, it's perfect. Like I would have felt like I struck gold. And I'm so curious how the house inspection went, assuming they had a home inspection. I'm so curious to know what the issues may have been just because I wanted the house really bad, but I don't know. So I am still kind of bummed just because, and I didn't love the location. Like, yeah, of course it wasn't perfect, but I'm sorry. I'm not getting perfect. I'm not going to get perfect. Are any of us in this housing market? Are any of us going to get what we want? I'm about to learn how to build a roof onto a cardboard box and like call it a life. Like, I don't know what else I'm going to do. We, to it that I have like the rose colored glasses on, but I just feel like for the quality of that house in a pretty good location, even though it was going to add like 20 minutes to my daily work commute and it was going to be a lot further away from seeing my parents and stuff. It just was far away from the highway. Again, autistic because I'm sharing way too many details and no one cares. Oh my God. If that's not autism, can someone just tell me what that would be? Is it just me being stupid? I don't know. Don't be offended. Please don't be offended. Maybe I am autistic. I don't know. I think people also have said I could be autistic because I eat the same foods, even though that probably is more rooted in OCD than autism. Whatever. Just let me live my life. Just let me be frugal and leave me alone. Like that's all I want from anyone. Whatever. So anyway, so there was another house that I was interested in. Not kidding. I was interested in it and I was waiting for it to go live. It went live. It was off the market the next day. Oh my God. Oh my God. And it was cute. It was listed for $280,000 and it had to go over $325,000. It had to. And that's the game they're playing. They list it at a lower price, so it gets more people interested. It gets people excited. knowing people are going to bid like $25,000 to $50,000 over. That is the game that's going on right now. This is stupid. Stupid. It's 9 o'clock at night, so I can't be too loud, but this is dumb. This is dumb. That house was very cute though, and I wanted to go see it, and I didn't even have the chance. This is so dumb. So, oh my God, we already need to do a lip balm break. It's the lip balm break. It's the lip balm break. I have so many weird quirks in my life that are so normal to me, but I feel like everyone thinks I'm like so nuts. It's so weird. I don't know, whatever. Everything in my brain feels normal, but people think it's insane. It's kind of weird. But so I do have some what could be positive news in terms of housing. So there's a plot of land that I found that I'm interested in buying, but not for full price because it's listed for $140,000. And I just refuse to pay full price for anything. So I would be interested in it if they sell it for less than that. But so I found a plot of land and I called the town zoning. And I asked, like, I'm considering buying this plot of land. Are tiny homes allowed? And I didn't get a straight no. So I was like, okay. But they said, they gave me some information and you should call the building department. So I called the building department. I was like, hey, I see this plot of land that I'm interested in. They told me as long as the house is 400 square feet or less, it is legally considered a tiny home, at least in the town that I am looking in. If it's a 400 square foot or less tiny home, you basically override a lot of the code. So it's a lot easier to like make it work. Does that make sense? I'm getting serious about buying a plot of land and buying a tiny house. I'm not kidding. And like it actually, with this information that I've gotten from the departments of the town, like it's actually feeling like this all could be possible. But can someone please talk me off the ledge? Because, and I've talked about this a lot, but please, we need to still have the conversation. There's a difference between what I want to do and what I think is financially responsible. Do I want to live in a cute little tiny home and live as cheap as possible and call it a good life? Yes, that's what I want. That is what Bradley wants. But does it make sense to spend $200,000 between land and a tiny house that's 400 square feet when I could spend $100,000 more to have a real house that's like 1,200 square feet and probably will increase in value way more than the tiny house will in the next 10 years. That is like the one thing that's holding me back. That is the one thing that's holding me back is the resale value. And I keep trying to tell myself, I hope you're not bored. If you're bored by this, I'm so sorry. I do have some people to talk to about this, but like I feel like you guys really know my brain because you know all the frugal stuff and like how much I value money. And like, I don't want to throw $200,000 to something that is not going to pay off in the long run. Do I think a 400 square foot tiny home is going to sell for $500,000 in 10 years? No, I get that. I want to see some increase in value over 5 to 10 years if I'm going to do this. But I'm just struggling for the fact that, let's say I buy the land, I buy the tiny house, and all the cost of like putting in a driveway, getting utilities hooked up, getting lands cleaned out and flattened. Like, let's say at the end of the day, it all costs $250,000. I just don't know if that makes sense compared to buying an older, maybe crappy $250,000 house, which I can't even really find, if I'm being honest with you. They're all more closer to the upper twos, and they would need renovations. Where if I buy a tiny house that was just built 2 to 3 years ago, looks pretty fresh and brand new. I think the other thing I think about of the benefit of buying a tiny house and putting it on land is like the taxes. However, the land that I found is almost an acre of land, which is like probably too much for me. I probably don't need all that, but it is nice. It is nice to have land. And that's what I tell myself too. I'm like, maybe the tiny house obviously won't increase in value, but the land that it's on would. And I'm being told like the cost per mile to move a tiny house is $10. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like there's a tiny house that I am so interested in Alabama. And from Alabama to my location is almost 2,000 miles. So you're telling me it's going to cost $20,000 to get the tiny house up here? Do you see what I mean, guys? Like, I want it to make sense. I want it to work so bad. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it makes sense. Let's say they don't budge. Let's say they don't budge on the land cost. Let's say the land cost $110,000. Let's say the tiny house costs $60,000 because the one I'm looking at costs $63,000. And then let's say it costs an additional $20,000 to get it up here. Before anything else, before the concrete foundation that they said I would have to put the tiny house on, before the driveway, before cleaning out and flattening out the land, before the utilities, I'm going to be spending like $210,000 to do this. And I'm like, is this just not a good return on investment at this point? Is it something that I want? Yes. But I also really struggle with the fact that I've dedicated the last 11 years of my life to saving my money to now have what I have today. I really struggle with making this big decision of buying a house or doing this tiny home idea because I'm afraid I'm going to regret making such a big, expensive decision on something that I spent over a decade of my life trying to save for. Do you know what I mean? Just let me know your opinions, what you think. I will take any outside perspectives because I'm trying to see what makes the most sense in this case. And moving on, I hate the feeling of disappointment. Like, disappointment is the foundation of my life. My childhood was disappointing. The family I grew up with is disappointing. I'm just going to be honest. I know I can't say that. The college I went to is disappointing because the degree was a complete ripoff. Relationships have been disappointing. Anyways, I hate feeling disappointed, which I feel like is probably a normal, natural thing for most people, but like I do not do well with it because I've been so let down and disappointed in my life. Like I do not do well when people disappoint me. It is like the number one biggest no-no in my life. And of course, like I wouldn't cut someone out of my life just from one thing happening. It's like a handful of things that lead up to that one disappointing choice where I'm just like, okay, you have changed as a person or you don't value me like I value you. When someone does something to me that I would never do to them because I'm so aware and I'm such a sensitive person and I always think about how my choices or my actions or what I say would impact someone else. When someone does something to me and they don't think about those things, which then shows me how much I feel like they don't actually care about me because they decided to do that thing without thinking of how it would make me feel or impact me. Oh my God. Oh my God. I hate it. I think because I've been so hurt from my past, my response has always been to try to hurt the person back. And my way of doing that would just be to like completely disappear out of their life. Like, I know this is going to sound so crazy. And I've been thinking about him a lot lately. So I guess that's why this example's popping up. But I had like a best friend in my life. Like literally ever since like probably 10th grade. And things as we were getting older kept happening that made me feel like he felt like he was better than me. Like he had a lot of money in his 20s, where in my 20s, you guys know my student loan story, and I was not making a lot of money. So my life was the complete opposite of his. And I just kind of felt like I kept seeing things that made me feel like he felt like he was better than me. It kept building and building and building and building. And then there was one thing that happened like 3 years ago that made me just realize like, you just don't value me the way I would value you, or you making that choice says everything I need to know. And Call me insane, but I literally stopped talking to him. I never spoke to him again. And I feel like as I get older, I'm starting to regret cutting people out of my life because kind of like my first boyfriend. Like when we broke up, I was devastated because I thought I was going to share my life with him. And when we broke up, my response to it was, I'm going to act like you never existed for a minute in my life. And I like deleted 90% of our photos. Just really upset that someone would choose to do that when I would never do that to them. So that happened today, and that's fun. That's nice. Can I just say, I really am struggling with like the guilt I have of making money through social media. And so I guess two examples I have with that. One, it's like maybe this isn't even about money through social media, but just like becoming financially stable when money used to be such a nightmare and such like a chaotic thing in my life. And also thinking I would never have the life I have today. Like when I drive past someone who looks like they're struggling, like, I don't know, with homelessness or addiction, whatever they may be struggling with, but you could tell that they like have a rough life. I don't know why. I feel guilty. And it's like I think I feel guilty because I made a whole podcast episode about this if you didn't see it, but like I'm not kidding when I say that was meant to be my life. Like that was so meant to be my life with everything I went through between like childhood issues, then ending up in a massive amount of debt with a degree that was like useless, not making me a lot of money. Like I had every chance to like become an addict and destroy my life because I was so empty inside and I was so unhappy that I had every chance to choose to like find my high and destroy my life. Because I've been seeing it lately, just based on the location I work in, I see like people who struggle. I see them on the street and I just get this like sinking feeling in my chest where I'm just like, oh my God, that so could have been you. Like every step you were led down so easily could have led you to be that. And I'm so grateful that my life ended up this way. And I also made good choices and I stayed so focused on who I wanted to be and the life I wanted to make for myself. But that was so an option. I had more of a chance to have that life than the life I have today. I never for a minute thought I would have the life I have today, but I definitely thought I could have ended up like that. I don't know. I'm not doing this justice, but I mean it with like love that I feel bad. But it's like another example I have too is I got a brand deal and it's quite a unique one. I don't really want to give the details on it. When I was sitting in the meeting and they're asking me like, how much do you charge for a video? And I told them like, because I'm new to that, I only started having brands like really reaching out to me in the past like 2 to 3 months. So I'm very new to it and I never knew like what my rate would be, but I'm kind of setting my rate based on what other companies have offered to be like, okay, if these two companies that I just worked with kind of offered around the same thing, that's the rate I could go by. So I'm in a meeting with these two people and it's not like it's not a big brand. It's not a brand. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you, but so basically I agreed to do 2 videos for them for $1,000. And I don't know why I feel so guilty. I don't know why. I think my brain was sitting in this meeting looking at these two normal people. And I'm just thinking to myself, they are speaking to someone who's going to get paid $1,000 to do 2 videos when they probably have to work X amount of hours or X amount of days or whatever to make that amount of money. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's almost like I used to get paid. How much did I? In like one of my earliest jobs out of college, I think after taxes I was making like $1,900 a month. I think it's the fact that like I'm going to show up, I'm going to film for like 2 hours and make $1,000 doing it, when like literally that used to take me almost 2 weeks of work in the food industry to make $1,000. Do you know what I mean? Like, I swear my brain is so stuck in the younger version of myself. I know, hopefully this isn't coming off as like a woe is me thing. Like, obviously I'm so lucky and I cannot even believe like a brand wants to work with me or pay me that kind of money. Like, this is actually really interesting. I cannot even believe this is happening, but I had a university reach out to me that they want me to come and do a speaking event. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, let's even say my current job today. Like I'm a financial coach part-time, and every month I make $1,460. And literally, I'm going to get paid as much as 2.5 months of work as my part-time job in one day. Oh my God. And it's like, I know I worked so hard to build all this and to create all this and putting myself out there and posting videos every day and like constantly losing my mind thinking about what's the next video I should post. Like, I know I put so much work into this, but at the same time, it's crazy to think I could make as much money in one day doing one thing that used to take me like 2.5 months of work to earn that amount of money in one afternoon. I don't know. I know this is so like first world problems and probably no one who's watching this can relate to it, but I think it's just I think the feeling is like for those who struggled with money or grew up with money issues, and it's like now you're earning more money or you're having these crazy opportunities, and it's like sometimes I think what it is I feel bad for what younger me went through. I think I feel bad that the younger version of myself in my early to mid 20s was suffering so bad, and I was so unhappy and I was so desperate for money and I was doing anything for money, and I was working in the food industry with a back injury, and now I'm being asked to do a speaking event and getting offered thousands of dollars to do it, and I'm going to make thousands of dollars in one afternoon, when like the younger version of myself was busting his butt for $12 an hour, just like trying to do anything to survive. I don't know. I have lived like 5 different lives at this point. Like, I have been like 5 different versions of myself. On my list of things to talk about was the frugal lasagna. Oh my God. Hand to God and hand to everything I love on this planet, that was not rage bait. That was not made up. That was not meant to be a joke. The frugal lasagna was legit. I was trying to put a cheap recipe together because I love lasagna, and obviously my whole MO is like, how can you do things as cheap as possible? So I thought up the cheapest lasagna that I could think of. And it just got ripped to shreds, of course. Everyone just loves to hate. I just wanted to mention it. I don't really have anything to say about it, but like, to be completely honest, the frugal lasagna was legit. It was not a joke. It was not meant to be rage bait or to get people talking. It was interesting. I just wanted to say too, when I was in New York last weekend, I was recognized 4 times in public by Budget Baddies. It was so cute. I cannot believe it happens to me. I cannot believe it happens to me. So I was waiting on the subway platform. As I was walking down the subway platform, this guy looked at me and he was like, "Are you Bradley?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And he was like, "My fiance and I watch," like, he was like, "I binge watch you." And he was like, "Oh my God, my fiance is going to freak out when she knows I met you." And I just was like, I cannot believe that's me. I really can't believe that's me. I think it's so fascinating that I have this big like internet life, but my actual life itself is very like small and simple. I was getting off the train on my way into the city, and as everyone was taking down their bags and walking off the train, this girl walked past me and she was like, "I love your videos on TikTok." And I just was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. It just, I will never ever believe that happens to me, because that is what younger me was so infatuated with, was the idea that people all around the world can know you from the internet. Just the fact that that actually happened and became reality in my life, like, so insane. Absolutely so insane. I never expected this for a minute. There was a night I went out to the club with my friend, and all of a sudden this guy walks up to me in the club and he goes, "Oh my God, you're Bradley." And I was like, "Yes, I am." He was like just so like shocked. And I was like, "Yeah." Oh, nice. It's crazy how much negativity my content gets. But when I get recognized in public and I meet a supporter, it's like, it's the most love. Like, to see, or even not even meeting people in public, but like the messages I get from people. The fact that people go out of their way to message me, like on TikTok or Instagram, like what's popping up in my head right now, there was this girl who was like, "I started watching you a few months ago, and because of your content, I was able to save enough money to help put a down payment on a house." Like, are you kidding me? You're kidding me that like I'm helping people like that, or I'm making that impact. And it's like, even if I'm not helping people financially, even if people just find me entertaining, or I could bring a little joy to their day from my video, like, that's everything to me. Like, all my content doesn't have to be like motivational and inspirational and to teach you how to save money. Like, even if you just find me fascinating or entertaining and you like that, that's so cool to me that I could be a part of someone's life in that way. So I just wanted to share that before we get into the Q&A. Well, the yap session has come to an end. Thank you for listening to me yap about a bunch of random stuff. We will get into the Q&A, and I feel like this video is probably getting too long, and I know you guys are probably like, "No, we want the long videos," but you have to just keep in mind too, I only have so much space on my phone. It becomes difficult when I have an hour's worth of footage that I have to shove onto my phone, but we may do kind of a rapid fire with the Q&A. So the first one I have is, how many total hours per week do you work on average? I have no idea. I have literally no idea. I do 20 hours a week at my part-time job. And then I would say for social media, I probably put in about 30 hours a week. That's not including if I have like a cleaning side gig, if I took a crisis hotline shift, if I have a dog sit, or if I'm doing yard work for someone. So I would say I might actually turn that into a TikTok video one of these days, where I will document like what were the total hours I put into all of my side hustles but it has to fall somewhere around like the 60 to 65 hour range. But what I'm grateful about too is the fact that I love all the work that I do, that even though it's a lot of work and it's hard work, it's like, it's passionate work and it's work that I love to do. When you were working in high school, did you still have this frugal mentality? No, because I was very defeated in high school because I grew up in an environment that told me everyone struggles with money, and like no one wins with money. Like, it's normal for people to just stress about money. So I was actually a very defeated person in high school, and like I really soaked up what I was told, and I just thought like, this is kind of just all my life is ever going to be. And that's why I went to college, because everyone was then telling me getting the college degree will give me a better life than what I saw, only to end up in a mountain of student loan debt. And it basically kept me in the life I was trying to run away from. Oh, my frugal mentality began the day I graduated, because I was drowning in over $100,000 of debt with a useless degree, not making like more than $30,000 a year. I had no choice other than to live frugal. So I wish the frugal mentality came a lot sooner in my life, because there's no way if I was frugal back then like I am now, I would ever think spending $30,000 a year on a culinary school would be worth it. What advice would you tell your younger self, and what would you do differently in regards to money if you were a parent? The only thing I think I would go back in time and tell my younger self is, for one, do everything in your power to avoid ending up in debt. And people may disagree with this, but I've always told myself I would rather be low income with no debt than making an average income but drowning in debt. So if I could go back in time, I would always tell my younger self, do everything in your power to avoid debt at all costs. And also, don't go to college right after high school. I cannot believe we shove 17 and 18-year-old teenagers into college to make these big life decisions, assuming that they know what they want to do for the rest of their lives, when, have we not learned at this point, it feels like almost no one sticks in the same career they got their college degree in, and yet we're still allowing undeveloped 17 and 18-year-old teenagers to go to college. So That's another thing I would always tell my younger self is like, graduate high school, get whatever job you can, make money, learn the value of money, see if you can move up, because that could have happened. And then maybe I could have built a whole career without needing to have gone down the college route. Or I could have gone to college in my mid 20s once I knew myself more. I knew the value of money. I understood how money worked. And I knew myself enough maybe in my mid 20s to know what I would have been passionate about as opposed to starting college at 17. What would you do different in regards to money if you were a parent? I don't really know how to answer that, but I think what I would say is like, as a parent, you're so responsible to teach your kids about money and to look out for your kids about money and to protect your kids regarding money. I feel like so many parents think it's like the public school system's responsibility to teach your kids about having a budget and finances and what's interest and what's this, what's debt, whatever. But it's your responsibility as a parent. Why did you have a kid if you don't want to teach them the basics of money when money is so important in our world, in our lives? So I just know if I was a parent, if that's the question you're asking, if I was a parent, I would make sure my child understands the value of money, but also how to be smart and responsible with money. Because I swear that's one of the biggest reasons why I ended up in my student loan situation is because neither of my parents sat me down to teach me anything about money. Nothing about money. I had to learn it all the hard way after going into $130,000 of student loan debt. What do you think about the cash envelope system? How do you keep track of all of your expenses? I think the cash envelope system, I usually tell people, could be helpful for those who need to be a little more strict with their spending. So if you don't know what the cash envelope system is, essentially it is you put a category on an envelope and then you put the amount of cash that you're going to budget for that category for the month. And when it runs out, you're done. So if you put $30 in the envelope and it's for coffee, the moment you ran out of that $30, there's no more coffee for the month. So I don't use the cash envelope system. I never have, just because I am already so naturally strict and disciplined with my money and my spending. But I think it could be a good visualization for those who need to see that visualization of, okay, I set this amount of money for like going out to eat or getting coffees or whatever, and or nails, whatever. And like when it's out, it's done. I'm not getting any more for the rest of the month. I keep track of all my expenses through my credit card because I actually use my credit card to make all my purchases because I paid in full. If I use my credit card for everything, I could then look at my monthly statement and I could see all of my expenses. But also, after living so strictly frugal for 11 years, like I don't really track my spending anymore because I know what I'm buying. I know I'm not shopping. I know I'm not going out to eat. I'm not buying clothes. It's all of my typical living expenses, basically what I spend my money on. And then if something small pops up, like a friend's birthday or whatever the case is, like I know I have the money for it, that I'm not really tracking nowadays. But when I moved into my apartment here for the first time 5 years ago, I tracked every single dollar I spent for 6 months because I wanted to get an average of like, what does it cost for me to live alone? Because I had never done that before. So I literally used the Notes app on my phone. I know it sounds so crazy. And every single time I spent $1. So I got groceries, I pumped gas, whatever it was, a utility bill. I put it in the Notes app. And then at the end of the month, I tracked it all, added it up, and saw what I spent in what category. What if your future partner isn't frugal like you? Is that a deal breaker? I have talked about this a lot. I don't think I need to be with someone who is as frugal as I am. I'll probably never find that because I know I'm on a very extreme side of living frugal. But and sometimes I almost feel like it could be beneficial for me to be with someone who is a bit more of a spender because it might be that push that I need, because I've said this so many times. I refuse to spend money on myself, or sometimes I feel guilty spending money on myself. But if I was like with someone and they were like, hey, do you want to like go to this concert? Do you want to go check out this restaurant? Like, I feel like if I'm with someone and I'm sharing my life with someone that I love, it would very much encourage me to want to spend that money where I wouldn't want to do it for myself. The point I've always made too is like, I don't need someone who makes a lot of money. I need someone who respects money. Like, or even if you have debt, Like, I'm not going to judge you for having debt, especially from where I came from with my student loan story. But my thing is, what are you doing about it? Like, are you taking it seriously? Are you making sacrifices? Are you trying to cut things out of your life to save money to put it towards the debt? I could not date someone who was reckless with their money, is just like blowing through their money, is just living for today, has debt racking up and they don't care. Like, that was reckless with their money, is just like blowing through their money, is just living for today, has debt racking up and they don't care. Like, honestly, I feel like it may be a little hard for me because, like, in gay culture, spending money is such a big problem. I wonder if I should make that an episode one day. I don't know. Maybe I will. I definitely feel like I want to make a TikTok video about it because, like, gay culture is all about, like, designer items, going to the nicest hotels, like driving the fancy car, like having the nicest apartment. And we all know how I feel about that. You're probably broke. You're probably broke and you have no money and you're stupid. For what? You want to look rich but be broke? You want to look rich but be stressed about money? Do you hear how stupid? You're so dumb. You're so dumb. Oh my God. I can't. I really can't with them. So I feel like that's going to be my bigger struggle, is like, because gay culture is so shallow sometimes, to be completely honest with you, when it comes to money and spending and things, that might be a challenge for me. What are some tips you have for your what are some tips you have for a 24-year-old? What would you tell your 24-year-old self? Oh my God. I think I hit my rock bottom when I was 24, probably. I was going through a breakup. I had a drinking problem. I had a back injury. Wasn't making a lot of money, drowning in my student loan debt. Like, I was completely miserable and my life was a nightmare when I was 24. But the same thing I told myself back then that I tell myself now is, like, keep working hard, keep making good decisions, keep pushing through it, because it may pay off. And now look at my life. It did pay off. I mean, there's so many things I could tell a 24-year-old, but if we're talking about money, I would say, if you're not taking money seriously, or you're not making good decisions, or if you have debt you're not taking care of, it will catch up to you. It will absolutely 100% catch up to you. And this is what I try to tell everyone who's just living for today and treating themselves in the impulse spending, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. It will 100% catch up to you. There's no one who is stupid with money who then wins with money. That's just fact. You don't get to be stupid with money and make bad decisions and then get to have the same good financial life that you want. You can't have both. You can't be an idiot with money and win. So if that's what I would tell a 24-year-old who's struggling with money, or who's like being reckless with money, if you don't cut the crap now and you don't start making good decisions or taking your finances seriously, in years' time, you're going to look back and you will regret it. That's just fact. With all your jobs, do you feel like you're able to prioritize enough sleep? I don't get enough sleep, but I don't think it's because of me working. Like, I'm almost always in bed by like 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. People would be very shocked to know that. Although when I say I'm in bed, I'm usually in bed editing tomorrow's TikTok video, because the cycle always continues. It like never stops. I typically can get to bed between like 11 p.m. and midnight, but I don't know if it's just like a health condition or something going on. I just don't sleep well. Oh my God. Maybe it's because I sleep on a fucking college dorm mattress. Maybe it's that. Yeah, I typically get like anywhere between 4 to 6 hours of sleep a night. And I feel like it's starting to catch up to me. I swear to God, I've always been tired since like 2011. I'm not kidding you. There was something about 2011, something hit me where I just started to feel tired, and I was literally like 18 years old. Like, what the hell happened? I'm kind of always tired, but I feel like I'm starting to look tired, which is why I wish I could get more sleep, but my body just doesn't allow it. It's crazy. I could get home from my nightclub job, like I'm a dancer at a nightclub, and I literally will get home and in bed by like 3 a.m. and I will wake up at 7:30 naturally. Like, my body just does not let me sleep, and I hate it. I really don't like it. Do your family and friends still not know about your social media? So yeah, that might be surprising to people that a lot of basically I've never told my family I do any of this. I literally am Hannah Montana. I live like 2 different lives. Unfortunately, as of recently, it has been found out. It's a whole long story. I talked about it on one of my TikTok lives like 2 weeks ago, but basically my sister posted a photo of us to her Facebook, and one of her friends was like, "Oh my God, your brother is Bradley on a budget." And my sister was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh my God, he's TikTok famous." And my sister was like, "I know." And I had a meltdown because I was like, uh-oh, no one's supposed to know this. I really don't want anyone to know this. This is not good. But I thought it would have been a bad thing if I reached out to the girl. I'm not on Facebook, so I would have needed a friend to do it. And I was gonna have a friend reach out to her to be like, Bradley would like you to remove the comment because he doesn't want family knowing like he does all that. But then my friends were like, if you do that, she may then go to your sister and be like, this seems suspicious that he's like telling me to delete it, whatever. So then my mom ended up seeing her comment of this girl being like, your brother's Bradley on a budget and TikTok famous. So thank you. Thanks for ratting me out. I really appreciate it. And so my mom brought it up. She was like, we were at the grocery store and she was like, so I saw this girl and she said like, your brother's TikTok famous? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I brushed it off so quick. I was like, yeah, I just talk about money and budgeting. And then like, we haven't talked about it since. And that was like a week and a half ago. So, maybe it's like under the water or under the bridge. I don't know, whatever the term is. But, so yeah, I've tried to hide my social media for as long as I can, but I know I can't hide it forever. So, but I really didn't appreciate that girl. Like, but of course, at the same time, that girl didn't know like my wishes of having no one find out. But I just like, yeah, thanks. Whatever. I used to share my savings to someone asking how much I actually save. I mean, I know I put all my numbers out there on the whole effing internet. So, but maybe you don't have to say how much you have, but you could say how much you save if you want to. I don't know. My thing is like, once people know how much money you have, they become kind of weird. Which I've seen on TikTok. Like, I know I've started to get way more hate after I made the video like 6 months ago that I had $250,000 saved. In general, I know people get very weird about money. So maybe don't say how much you have saved. But I mean, if you save money every month, I don't think that's like an awful thing. I don't think that's something to not share if someone asks. You know yourself best, set boundaries, and you say what you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable to share how much you have saved or how much you save every month, then don't say it. That's that. We made it to the last question. And the last question is, what's your advice for someone who's just starting out saving in terms of where to prioritize now that food budget is likely having to increase? So the one thing I would always tell someone is you need to track your spending because you absolutely have to know where all your money's going. If you're not tracking your spending, you have no control of what's going on and you have no idea what's going on. I would look back at last month and then maybe any spending you've done in this current month and look for trends. Like, how much did you go out? How much did you spend going out to eat? How much did you spend shopping? How much are you spending in subscriptions? That's another good reason to track your spending, is because sometimes when you actually look at your credit card statement or however you spend money, you'll see you may have subscriptions to things that you completely forgot about, and then you could cut those out to start saving money. But I think beyond tracking your spending as one of the most important things to do and one of the best ways to start saving money, because you see like the whole picture of your money scenario. The other thing is, I would just say you have to get so serious about it. You have to get so serious about it. And there's no buts or ifs or whats. Like, that's it. Like, I get so frustrated when people ask my financial advice or they have questions about budgeting and they're like, why can't I save money at the end of the month? And then I look at their numbers and I'm like, you can save money. You absolutely can save money. The reason why you're not is because of you. You are out of control and you have no idea what you're doing. Like, in terms of spending, you're just spending recklessly. And you don't have the discipline. Like, that's what frustrates me so much about money, is that people can have such a better life if they would just stop being stupid. And I can't believe I get criticism on TikTok when I call people stupid. You are stupid. I made a podcast episode about this. This was one of my first episodes where I said, maybe you're broke because you don't want it bad enough. And that's the effing truth. I walked to the subway in New York City 10 years ago in the snow with holes in my shoes because I wanted to save my money. I slept on a mattress on the floor with mice running across the room because there was a hole in the wall and mice came through, on top of cooking all my food at home, on top of saying no to things, on top of not having things like subscriptions or cable or any of that BS. Your results are going to come from you. The results you get for saving money start and end with you. And if someone wants to throw some BS at me, well, Bradley, it's not that easy because all prices are going up on everything and I don't make a lot of money. Well, then go make more money. Sorry, I can't believe that's a controversial statement. Or like I've seen on TikTok, people say I create a unhealthy hustle culture, or I promote an unhealthy hustle culture. Are you effing kidding me? I was trying to survive in my 20s. I was trying to build a better life than what I saw growing up. There's no such thing as an unhealthy hustle culture. It's about working hard to create the life you want. It's about working hard to dig yourself out of what you're in. How do you think you're going to get out of something without making more money and cutting things out? So if you're starting your saving journey and you look at your numbers and you're like, I could barely get by, or I could save $100 to $200 a month, something has to change. You have to cut things out. You have to live so bare bone. And you have to try to find ways to increase your income. Well, Bradley, I have no time. Oh, well, Bradley, I have kids. You chose to have kids. Don't throw that back at me like the advice I'm giving is not helpful. All of us have made choices. I went to a culinary school and ended up in $130,000 a debt. But I also made choices and I made sacrifices and I developed discipline to have $300,000 saved today. So if you chose to have kids, let's find a solution instead of just leaning on that crutch. You can make that statement all you want, but you have the kids now. So you have to try to figure it out. Anyways, that concludes the question and answer video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to me yap. I love you guys so much. I really am just so grateful for you guys. Again, to be recognized last weekend when I was in New York, and just like to feel the love and the positivity and to know like I make people happy or I make a difference or I help people. I never thought for a second that I was capable of that being me. Like being asked to speak at a university. Are you kidding me? Me? Oh my God. I'm like, it's nuts. It's bananas. I heard a great quote. It was from Demi Moore. She was giving an award speech. And I might have said this in a recent episode, but I heard it and it stuck with me so much. I'll never forget it. I'm always going to use it. I'll leave you with this great quote. Just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it's not happening. And I really would want you guys to think of that statement when it comes to your finances, that just because you're not where you want to be, or it feels like it's not getting better, or you've created such a mess with your finances and you feel like you're screwed and this is all your life is going to be. I felt those feelings every day for so long. Remember, every little step you take, every little sacrifice you make, every good decision you make, everything you cancel and cut out of your life, all those little choices and steps are leading you to the bigger future of what your future could be. All those little steps and all those little choices are leading you to the potential of a better future. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it to the end, I love you so much. I'm going to give you a little high five. I don't have anything to say if you made it to the end, but if you did make it to the end, I don't know. I don't really have anything for you to put in the comment section if you made it to the end, but if you are the made it to the end gang, I love you very much. And just so grateful for you and grateful for all of this. So I hope you enjoyed the episode and I'll see you at the next one. Love you. Bye.